Hello everyone, this is Mohammed Al Sharawi from Mo Designs. Today we're gonna continue our Ramadan Fanoos design sprint that we started yesterday. So let me tell you, or let me show you where we stopped. So we had our Fanoos from yesterday, where you can see here in the CAD model how we designed it. So we designed it based on this form. I printed a quick prototype. I think it turned out fine with some minor modifications or flaws in my opinion, and I will just walk you through them right now in the CAD model, not in the picture. But I think the print in place piece, due to the scale prototype, it was not perfect. But when we scale it up, probably it will fix itself. So let me take you through the design sprint for today, like we did yesterday, and let's start. You see in front of you right now the different forms or like the different reference pictures we've had here. We had a very good, I would say, shape. But before we move on, let me do a quick save as from yesterday, just to preserve whatever we had as, I would say, as a snapshot of time. And that's revision 1 now. So maybe from the prototype, what I can say I would like to change is definitely the base. The base turned out to be a little bit too small. For a full scale, for a small scale, this is fine, but maybe for a big scale, might end up looking a bit funky. I do not like that, so I'm gonna change this. The other thing is, I just realized it's not showing, so here. So this is how it looks like, and this is the print in place I was talking about. So it is working, it is functional. It's a bit weak from this side, so I will change that. Second would be the base. This is the part I'm talking about right now. So it looks too small, I think, in proportion. I don't like it, so I'm gonna change that. But I would say the rest is more or less looks to me fine. Maybe that extrude, I'll make it a bit smaller, like a bit inside, and that's it. So these are the small things I would like to change in the form. Then we take it from there to adjust a little bit the function and the making it more of a final product. So I think that's, I moved this from 37.5 to 40, so that's cool. The the slenderness looks fine to me. Maybe this I will move this. I'll crank that A to 100 or like that A to a 10. My apologies. And so to make this piece a bit more robust. And let's see how it looks like now. Didn't change much, so that's good. That's exactly what I was shooting for. And let's do the extrude a little bit less, as I said. So right now it's at 70. I think maybe something in the realm of 60 should be fine. Just a little bit inside, not too much, maybe even 65. I do not want to change it too much. It looks very authentic, very traditional, like the ones we grew up with. So probably I'll just, yeah, do it 65. So yeah, I think it looks nice now. Looks complete. Maybe even a bit less than 65. I'll go 67.5. So even less than what I originally anticipated. Okay, I think that's cool. It looks nice. Maybe let's do one last form check before we go further. If you look here, you're gonna see the different kind of cutouts in the Fanoos or the lantern itself. I think this is one of the things we'll definitely need to mimic or start to mimic. I think the form in general is cool. We can survive with that. And yeah, another thing that basically showed in the scale prototype is that this is too weak. So I did this as 3 millimeters when I scaled it down by half, so this became 1.5. But there is no reason why not to maybe move this a little bit further, i.e. maybe this becomes a 5, the radii or the radius would become maybe a 6.5. and I think that's not too bad. Let me see how it looks like with the section. I think it looks cool. Doesn't hurt my eyes. Let's call it. Maybe let's make this 0.5. By the way, so this is the snap piece, right? So you want to make this weak as much as you can in order for you to be able to snap it. Otherwise, it becomes too strong, and you'll not be able to snap it. And basically, what happened yesterday in the scale prototype, maybe you can see it or not, but that small piece broke when I was testing the scale prototype. Again, remember, every dimension you have here will go down by half, right? So if you have a 0.3, it becomes a 0.15. If you have a 0.5, it becomes a 0.25, and so on and so forth. So probably we'll need to learn a little bit with the full size prototype, but let's increase this to from 0.3 to 0.5, maybe make it 0.4, so we're in the not too much range, I suppose, and we take it from there. Okay, so enough on the form. I think we kind of played with that enough to call it a good sprint. Let me open up as well Bamboo Lab Slicer and show you how it looked like yesterday. The scaled version, probably we didn't do that, so let me do this. In the preview, you'll notice, or you'll see in a second, this is the print and place piece that I was talking about. Very cool. And here I printed that with 3 supports, right? So snapped very easily, didn't increase much let me move my window a little bit. Didn't need much cleanup, so I snapped the supports in a matter of seconds actually. So it was not so bad. And this is again lightning infill, so means it's all empty from the inside, so it didn't take much to print. Where I was going with this, again, this is a scale prototype, so if you look here, you're gonna see that this is at 50%, so the 100% version will be obviously larger. So if I do this, this is how much it is looking, and here it gives me the error that it's too big for the print plate, and I realize that. I think as of the crest here on the top, you'll start seeing problems and challenges, but that's not a big deal because, as said, probably we'll do 2 prints, or maybe we'll make it different when we're doing the functional piece. All right. So let's do now the decoration, and after the decorations we're gonna start with the function. So the function part, the decorations are more or less based on your kind of artistic taste. So I gathered some reference pictures here. As I told you, this is coming from multiple stores in Egypt. This is a traditional art form, as I told you before yesterday, so it's very cool. And there is a lot of, Islamic patterns here you could play with, and it's interesting. Again, these ones are like mesmerizing, as you can see. They're so cool. Maybe we'll use some of those patterns in our design. I think this is a good idea. And as you can see, you do not need to stick with anything. Many of those patterns are driven by the tools. They're not they're used to puncture the copper, so these are made out of copper or out of brass. So, and as you can see, the craftsmanship on this one particularly is not so good, but the art form is there, and you could learn a lot from that. So again, I will try to find something that is less, I would say, noisy, but still captures the traditional art form. So let me see a few examples here, maybe some food for our eyes before we go and start. I like this idea of a star, and I like the crest. Well, not just, I think I'm not gonna do it too much though. I think it's an overkill in our case. So maybe some stars. I'll avoid the hearts. I don't feel that those are very traditional in that essence. Maybe some of those patterns like that we've seen before. So something like that. Sorry, where did it go? This one. Yeah, the one with the many small lanterns. Yeah, there it is. So again, that's pattern design at its best, to be very honest. If you want to spend time on this is awesome actually. Um, Probably I'll go with something along these lines. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So I think this is the plan for today. So let's get started, and we'll keep the commentary open. If there's questions, uh, post them in the chat or in the comments, and we can start. Okay, so this is our first decorative element. So again, as said, the star. What I've done here is I created a simple star shape and used the wrap feature to wrap it across the base cylinder. This works basically with both cylinders and kind of spherical surfaces. Like the old feature didn't have that latter piece, which is these spherical features, but the new one with the new SolidWorks versions has this, so it's cool. Here you're gonna see how it looks like. I think it's nice. Usually those design elements have been traditionally used to puncture more holes and allow more light out in these areas, like you see here. On the base, though, you don't have a lot of light because typically the lamp is just centered here, but it's still there, and for its artistic and aesthetic impact or yeah, purpose. So I think that's one. Let's continue. We're still not there yet. I'll probably do now one of those hexagon shapes. This one particularly looks cool. I'll maybe Google some patterns first. Okay, I think this is now coming together. So let me explain a little bit what I've done here. So what I've done is I found this nice flower pattern, if you will, and this one. It looked nice to me. Had spoke to me on a visceral level. I think it's nice, where we can basically start working with the shape. So I've designed the shape and I put it together. And that way, again, with those patterns, usually there is a lot of work to be done, as you can see, in order to mimic the pattern properly. I think we've done a good job here. Not great though. Maybe requires some more tinkering to get it to a more acceptable level. But in general, I think it's not too bad. So what I've done here is, again, that flower pattern. I took it there, started working with it. I might need to switch a little bit how it looks like here. I think there is some still mistakes in the geometry, so I'll fix that in a second. But in order to project that on a surface, what I've done here is I cut that surface. Um, I felt that this had a little bit more, I don't know, roundness to it than necessary. So I introduced that kind of geometry to make it a bit more linear, and I repeated that pattern over and over. So let me fix a few things with that pattern. I think I'm still kind of walking through it. I'm expecting that this might take a few iterations to get it right. So that will be number one, or like maybe we do it on a few sketch steps. One is thin and one is full cut. So let me do that. Exactly. So something like this, mid-plane, maybe a millimeter thick. Because most of the Islamic art, if you notice, has those lines, and it is cool, but to get it to be projected right takes a few iterations. And I think it's coming together. I keep opening that picture here. Here, like, they are part of a bigger pattern, so that's why it's interesting to the eye. The cool thing about having like in SolidWorks is that you can select these features on multiple occasions or multiple times and create more features with them, right? So now it's coming a little bit to that level I'm thinking about, or I had in mind. And after I was done, basically what I've done here is I took it to a pattern. So now the pattern will be all messed up because I didn't select the new features, but it's fine. I'm gonna fix that in a second, and we continue. Okay. So you saw here what I've done. So what I've done here is basically the same as I've done in the base. I just repeated on the top. I found another nice geometric pattern that I liked. The only difference between the previous pattern and this one was I wanted to do more with the lines, right? So instead of keeping everything under the sketch and selecting the lines, I created one thin feature and I repeated that. I think it's easier for me and for even for Solid Edge to process it or SolidWorks to process it. So I think it's fine that way. Um, as you can see, it can easily get out of hand with all of the patterns and kind of making things a bit too much, if you will. So what I will do here is I will probably stop after I just decorate that piece um, in that and this piece basically. What I had in mind for these two pieces, and this is something we need to talk about probably now, is we need to make this as a functional lantern or a Fanoos, as we talked from the beginning. So as you saw so far, this is a solid piece of, it's a solid, right? So it's not cut in any way, designed in any way so far to accommodate a lamp and so on. Sorry, like a light bulb, which is what I'm planning to do with this one. So this one will not be um, looking like this at the end. So we need to hollow it out as we go. And this is a good decision point to start talking about this, whether to hollow it out now and anything we do from henceforward will be for the light to go through, because so far these are just decorative items, i.e. the light will not go through any of those. These are just for the observer from the outside, nothing else, right? So in order to make it hollow and reach that, and maybe this is a good reminder for all of us to look here. So this the everything we've been doing so far is just to get those decorative elements, right? So these are just for decoration, and that's it. But the light will not go through them. So what I will do now, probably I'll take a pause in the patterning, or like getting the patterns in and the decoration in. Maybe I'll do another star here first, or just allow the light to go from those ones. So let me do it after. So let's do the functional piece, i.e. hollowing out the geometry. And there are multiple ways to do that. So the one I will probably follow is, if I do a shell, it will be very complex to do, and I will show you why. Typically a shell would be you select one surface that is open, ideally in this case will be the bottom, and I say wall thickness 3, for example, and I click OK. It will get mad at me because there's a multiple minimum radius of curvature that is not good. So this will not work. And I knew this from the beginning. In order for me to make it to work, you can add that feature a bit early in the process, i.e. before any of all of those things happened. So basically here, let's go all back in time, before even the crest on the top. So as of here, the shelling right now in that case will be super easy. So let's do that and let's see if it behaves right. Then we take it from here. Again, let's do 3 millimeters show per view. See, yep, it works. Everybody's happy and it works, right? The downside of this is that this geometry right now in that way is not really printable, right? So that is the challenge here. So I would choose to do it differently. I will basically suppress that feature, i.e. as if it didn't happen, and roll to end as take it to the end of everything we've done so far. Click save before any bad accidents happen, and look at the geometry. And probably this is not the best angle because it lacks the fins. So let me do a 30 here. I think 30 is the right angle, right? Because we repeated this. Yep, this is a good angle. And look here. How would it look like if I go ahead and shell it out? So I will shell it by hand now. Okay, so this is basically where I'm going with this. Um, Let me do that, and we can repeat, or we can get back to the comments and commenting on what we've done. Okay, so as you can see, there was a bunch of things that we've done here. So let's walk you through it. First, I started to see where in my feature tree shall I put my revolve cut, and I played a little bit first bit with the idea of maybe I do this as this particular fin as a start from the start to have that hollow shape, but it didn't work, so I just kind of skipped that idea and I continued. So I went down in this tree basically after the form is completed or has been completed, which was where we stopped yesterday, but before I started all of the patterns and all of these things. So this is where it's it started, or like how it happened, or like what I've done here. If you go there, you'll find I chose the 3mm wall thickness all across from top to bottom, and I'll tell you why in a second. Because once you hollow this, you need to have enough meat on the base in order for us to do the pattern piece. So you'll see here that the pattern or the static shapes have penetrated through. This is not a desired effect, so I'm gonna reverse that in a second. But all in all, I think it went well. There was some hiccups. Maybe we'd do this as a 0.5 instead of as of 0.5 mm. You start seeing things in as a pattern or as a geometry in on the object, so it doesn't need to be as emphasized or as engraved, if you will. So that's cool. I still see here though something that is going through, so let me check. Okay, that's the third one. I didn't change this one yet, so I'll do that. And you see now the full geometry hollowed out. In this case, it will be a bit challenging to print, but maybe you try it out and see. I think this one particularly will be interesting because of the overhangs. Let's actually check it out. I think this is the only way to actually know whether it will print or not. So before I do anything further, here I would add the transparent plastic. So probably I'll add a shoulder of sorts here to make sure that that plane of transparent plastic has a place to sit, otherwise it kind of sinks inside. So I'm going to do this afterwards. And before we go any further and we forget about why we've done this, I will start cutting out here the light ports or the light patterns. So let me do this right now first, and afterwards we do the 3D printing test. Let me again do a quick save. Okay, so let me do this right now. Okay, so you've seen what I've done here with the light light slits. So all of those patterns that I've added are like all of those aesthetic shapes that I've added now are just for the sole purpose of allowing light to egress from the geometry of the Fanoos or the lantern. So you see here I've added a few stars on the base, and those will obviously allow light to escape, those as well, and I added a few on the top. I'm uh, I'm pretty sure you have the same idea or like thought in mind, like what is the support situation now. I think we need to learn that. Sometimes it might we can get by with some small distances, as you always know from the overhang settings in the slicer, but I do not know this yet. So probably there will be some kind of prototype that where we want to test this and get it and get it done first before we go ahead. But before we do this, as you can see, I've not like I didn't separate anything yet. So those two, this is a kind of a monolithic object. So far you see from the solid body, this is like it's still a single object. It's not the worst idea to have it that way. Um, Maybe you will need to do some more. I feel this is so this transition between this part and this part is too fast, and this part and this part is too fast. So maybe I'll do um, some parting lines, and I'm gonna add here the stopper for the glass windows, and that will be probably it for today. And after that, I will send it to the slicer and we see it together. Okay, so we've done basically everything we just described. I added that rim between these like those two surfaces as a transition. Same here on the top and same here again on the top. Now it feels more natural, the transition between these two surfaces. I've added the windows for the Fanoos fins here on the side. Something looks funky here, so let me double check. Probably it's an overlap that happened by mistake. Remember, these surfaces were all like drafted by 5 degrees. That's always something I tend to forget when I'm doing the final pieces. So we need to add that 4 degrees. I think it was 4 degrees, not 5 degrees. So let me do that. Yep, now it looks better-ish. Let me do a cross section. Normal front view. Oh yeah, we said front will not work, so maybe let's do right view. Yep, the right view will show me everything that I need to know. Ah, it's still not right. So I think the projection is not right, but that can easily be fixed if we do. So the problem here is we're basically I'm basically asking the software to do an extrude up to a surface with an angle. So let me see what happens if I delete the angle first. Oh yeah, so it doesn't work. So basically what I can do is I could tell it to be a blind. No, the problem is not that. The problem is like it shouldn't be an extrude to begin with. It should be a loft of sorts. So let me do this, delete that, and do the same here. So I'm gonna use the same sketch that I developed, but instead of I will do on that right plane a sketch which is kind of a line, and that line is horizontal, or basically perpendicular to that surface. That's what we need to do. And that line, it's perpendicular and ends on this surface and is coincident with the pattern, so piercing the pattern basically. Now it's fully constrained. Now let me try this one more time. Hopefully it works. And if we do a sweep, oh yeah, like it's a sweep, not on this, but I think you knew what I meant. So a sketch profile, which is this one, and this one, and we click OK. It's angry at us for whatever reason. I could do it to the loft too, actually. So let me try a loft instead of a sweep. Maybe that's better. Yep, now it works. So the lucky feature was the loft feature, so that's good. This works now. We can take it and make it a glass again. And we can do the pattern one more time. For some reason this, I did not anticipate that to be a problem. But again, as said, usually those drafted angles, they're good from one side, but they screw things up on from other sides, so it's fine. I think we managed it. So this is kind of the final form. Let me add my signature here very quickly before we go ahead and print. Maybe it's a successful print from the beginning, and I do not need to repeat much. All right, so I think that's very good progress today, and let's start exporting this model. Due to the number of patterns and the number of kind of engravings and stuff we added today, I'm expecting this to be much heavier. So yesterday it was 46 megabytes. So let's see what's the lucky number for today. As said, the crest here was a bit too tall, so maybe I'll do like 80% instead of 100, and then we can fix the scale later. That's not a problem. So let's see, it's still exporting. Now it's done. Should be okay. And now if I print this, maybe a bit scaled down, as I said. Thing is, I just need to scale it before I separate the objects to make sure that the windows and the yep, there we go. So again, it's angry because it says an object laid over the boundary of the plate. So what I would do is I will scale it down let's maybe do, I think 90% will get by. Let's see. Oh yeah, so still see that dark. Yeah, okay, so maybe 85. There we go. So that's the maximum we can print on that printer without separating objects. I'll think about it. Maybe I'll separate the top piece from the bottom piece, and we can add a small. But yeah, I think for the prototype that's more than fine. So I'll add another plate just for the lantern itself, or the Fanoos itself. I have an excess of purple, so I'll do with purple color this one. And on the other ones, which is this, I'll just basically tell it lay down like this. They are all identical, so I can basically do this. What's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so total of 6, and I do this Control K 6, and it does the same. So I have 6. Okay, yeah, it copies. I always forget about this. So let's do this one more time, but after I change the filament color to transparent, and I do Control K, count of 5, and this is our 6 windows. This one should be fairly simple. Let's see about that. This is the one that I'm expecting to have problems. So let me do save as of the project and see where it will be the most challenging. I have supports on tree auto default at 30 degrees overhang, so that's good. I will revert back to the grid for the strength and the seam at back. So all of these oranges are usually indicating of stuff that I've done in the original template or the original profile. So let me do this and see how things are. It's not looking so bad, like time-wise. I think it's taking a little bit more than the other one, obviously, because it has much more detail, so it's understandable, but it's not the end of the world, so that's fine. So 60% now. If I manage to, or like if I'll think about it if I make this part a different part or not. The good news with this type of model, I could slice it in 3 different colors, i.e. add a color change, color change, color change. Maybe I could do that. I have 3 nice colors here. I have pink, orange, and purple. Actually, that's gold. When I check now my AMS, it's gold, not orange. But the point is, I could change those into whatever I like. Maybe we do this as an experiment now, and I decide on which of my colors I will go with. So this is my color swatch. You can find it on Cult 3D and on the printables. It's for free. So this is how I choose basically the colors. I check these spheres. I like spheres. They give me the good projection of curves and everything. So I'll mix and match those colors until I find the components I like. Okay, wow. So see here that the trees are like a lot, the tree supports, but the model, it's not so bad. It's 200 grams, 7 hours. That's not so bad. Like again, there is another model I've done last year which did not require any supports, and it was perfect for no supports, like enthusiasts. I'm trying always to design things without supports, but this one would definitely need in order to get the right geometry. And again, now with 3 supports, I think life is getting much simpler. So out of those, the filament cost will be like, so that model will cost roughly around $5 or euros. I don't know what is the currency here, but if you see filament, you'll see that the supports are so there's no flushed because there's no change at this point. Let me see. Yeah, I'm trying to get line type, layer time, no, line weight, layer height. I'm trying to get to how much is the support. Okay, the support is 30% out of those, so it's not so bad. I think that's cool. I want to try it out and see how it turns out. The trick regarding the color change, as I was talking a bit earlier, would be I would come here and I tell it maybe around that layer. Let me see. Yep, a little bit less as of here. Yep, I do here and I say change filament and I maybe do like pink and I go up and before it goes now before it goes further up, maybe around this layer line. Honestly, I don't like the view here. Maybe I find a different view where I can do this more accurately, but just to give you the idea, I do another change filament type. We've done purple, let's do orange, and here what it would do is like it will reslice itself, right? Again, 60%, 60 sorry, 200 grams is not so bad. And if you have 3 colors and let's assume it's equally split across the 3 colors, it's not so much. I would say, yeah, it will end up being in the realm of 70 something grams per filament. So it's not so much. Yeah, now it's slicing again, but now with the new found 3 colors that we found here. I'm envisioning maybe up to here with 1 color and up to there with another color. So this becomes kind of a 3-color object. It's much nicer. In previous year, I've done this as well, different colors. So as of the crest, as of this layer, probably I have a different color. So you could choose whatever you like. It's not a big deal. It's still slicing, 60%. So as you see, like the first 0 to 60 is basically the slicing of the object, and here is the support branches thing, or the generation of the supports. This takes time, I know that. So it's like 70% now, almost there. So in SolidWorks, if you'd like to see as well how the overhangs are usually done, I have to imagine the slicer. What I do is I do a top cross section and I just take it through like this. It gives me a good idea of how the slicer will look like without actually needing to slice. So it's a nice trick I like to do, but feel free to do it on the slicer, of course, if you feel more comfortable. Okay, there we go. That's how it's gonna look like. It looks terrible now, of course, because of all of the tree supports and so on. I think I can still remove the perch tower. Obviously now it becomes a 10-hour sprint with, let's see, total 245. Not so bad actually. I thought it would be worse. But yeah, I will still decide on the colors before I hit the print button. But it looks fine. I think it looks very good compared to what I had in mind. Um, and we could basically stop at this point today. And if this works, probably I'll release it before Ramadan starts. If it doesn't, I'll do another iteration with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good rest of the day, and talk again soon. Bye bye.